to our health correspondent, Nicola Hill, who's joining us from the capital, London. Nicola, good afternoon to you. So tell us more about these plans that Mr Johnson laid out yesterday, and also, when's international travel going to be allowed again?
Yeah, the plans were laid out after Boris Johnson had said that he was concentrating on the data, not the dates. But then, as you've just recounted there, Kamali, he gave us a whole load of dates. The first one being March the 8th, and that's when the schools are going to open. And we're allowed to actually then meet one other person outside socially rather than just for a walk. Real treat, we can have a coffee on a bench. So exciting.
Lovely.
Then from there, the next big date is March the 29th. This is just before Easter, and that's when we're allowed to mix with a few more people outside, up to 6 or 2 households still outside. So we're all hoping that we're going to have warm weather at Easter, or otherwise we're going to be shivering under umbrellas in the pouring rain, which is very likely here in the UK. The date after that, and if you notice, there's 5 weeks between these set dates that Boris Johnson set out, but the next one's slightly earlier. This is April the 12th, which is in fact 5 weeks after March the 8th, and it's giving them time. That's when the schools go back, and April the 12th is when the schools go back after the Easter holidays. The reason being, and it's the scientists who recommended this, that there needs to be 4 weeks between each of these steps so that they can see what effect it's actually having on hospitalisations, deaths, and the potential increase of the R number. Professor Chris Whitty actually said yesterday that it's inevitable. There's still, once we start lifting restrictions, we're going to have hospitalisations, we're going to have deaths, but it's a question that's basically what we're going to have to live with, is effectively what he said. So if you're keeping track of all the dates I'm giving you here, the next one is May the 17th, and it's after then that potentially we're going to have international travel. That's when you can have, for example, weddings of 15. In fact, I'm juggling all these different restrictions as they're being lifted. It's getting very confusing. I think we all have to pin them up on a notice board in our houses so that we can know as and when we can do things. So May the 17th, we're allowed to start having things inside, and then June the 21st, that's the date when apparently everything's going to be lifted and we're going to come back to some sort of normality. I think I may well have missed a date out there. Did I miss out April the 12th? That's when the hairdressers are open. I can't wait for that date.
I think you got most of them in there, and I think your notice board's going to be very busy, Nicola, in the coming weeks. Now, what's been the reaction? I did see some front pages in some certain British newspapers saying, what are we waiting for?
Yeah, there has been quite a lot of accusations to the government saying you're doing this too slowly. Our vaccination programme has been really ramped up. It's very effective. We've had these amazing results saying that the numbers of the over 80s needing hospitalisation or dying have dropped dramatically because of vaccination. So why can't we do things more quickly? But Boris Johnson is being much more cautious now. He said this is the roadmap out of lockdown, and he doesn't want us to go back into lockdown. He used the word, it was irreversible. I watched his press conference last night when he was asked that if you do have to reverse this, would you then resign? Put on the spot there, and he sort of fudged it and said that's not what he wants. The dates he's given are because, as I said, there's this gap in between so that they've got time to look and see what effect each lifting of lockdown actually has on the R rate. That's how many people one person then infects, and hospitalisations, so there's not the overwhelming of the hospitals, the National Health Service, which we've had, and of course deaths. Now, he has said he's not likely to bring any of those dates forward, which is what people have been asking for. In fact, if it's not a success, he will delay each stage. So although people are still trying to set dates, trying to book holidays, trying to book international travel, other people are saying be a bit cautious because it might shift a couple of weeks or so. Professor Linda Bold, for example, she's head of public health at the University of Edinburgh. She says the UK's quarantine system is, and I quote her here, still full of holes. So are we going to bring in vaccination passports? Are we going to have certificates of vaccination? These are all still being discussed. all up in the air. But the fact that we have got a roadmap out of lockdown, that we can perhaps see a light at the end of the tunnel, is fantastic for most of us living here in the UK and having lived in this lockdown for coming up to 3 months now.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of uncertainty, but that chink of light ahead is good for all of us. Thank you, Nicola, for now.